This revolver is a classic Colt Frontier 6-shooter accompanied by a factory letter as shipped to Russell Sporting Goods Company for C.M. Russell on November 3, 1926 in a shipment of 1. Charles Marion Russell was born on March 19, 1864. At just the right time to engage with the newly expanding western frontier and record perhaps the most formative era in American history. He had always harbored an interest in the untamed West, reading about this subject and interacting with fur traders and other adventurers in his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri as a young man. At 16, he took a life-altering trip to Judith Basin, Montana, where he sought employment as a cowboy, vocation he was apparently ill-suited for at such a tender age. It was during this time that Russell became famous for his artistic work. He had always displayed artistic talent, sculpting in clay and sketching scenes as a young man, and he continued to employ these talents while he was working as a night herder, including the particularly brutal winter of 1886. When the owner of the OH Ranch wrote to inquire as to how the winter had gone, the foreman simply sent him a watercolor that Russell had painted of an emaciated steer encircled by patiently waiting wolves. The ranch owner kept the painting, showed it to many of his friends, and displayed it in a shop window. As a result, commissions for Russell began to come in, and he would ultimately revisit the work and expand on it, naming it Waiting for a Chinook, and it became one of his trademark works. In 1888, Russell lived with the Kainai, a branch of the Blackfoot people, after he was invited to live with them by Black Eagle, their chief, as he had returned from a trip to Canada. During this time, Russell learned of the intimate details of Indian life, including their languages, religious ceremonies, stories, and social mores. This intimate love for the Native Americans manifested itself in his art. In 1893, Russell quit the cowboy life in favor of becoming a full-time artist. Managed by his wife Nancy, he became immensely popular and critically acclaimed, with international recognition following his works. He spent the next 33 years painting, sculpting, and drawing some 4,000 pieces, cementing his reputation as a cowboy artist, a title that follows him today. Russell's works are in high demand as one of those who illustrated and depicted the changing West as it happened, and he has had multiple pieces break the mythical $1 million mark and 2 that broke $5 million. This is a classic Colt Frontier 6-shooter with a 7.5-inch barrel, blued and case-colored finish, and Colt hard rubber grips. Importantly, it is accompanied by a factory letter identifying this gun as serial number as shipped to Russell Sporting Goods Company for C.M. Russell on November 3, 1926 in a shipment of 1. Research indicates that Russell's was a store in New York City, where Russell was known to visit for business in the winter, and it appears that the gun was sent to the city so that he could retrieve it on one of those trips. Tragically, Russell died of heart failure in 1926, a mere 8 days before the gun shipped. Towards the end of his life, Russell had become very pessimistic about the state of the West and was known to make such remarks as, "The West is dead. You may lose a sweetheart, but you won't forget her." Perhaps as he longed for the days of his youth, unfettered and free, he decided to order a material representation of that time, choosing the most iconic Colt that he could think of and no doubt saw often was intimately familiar with. After all, a cowboy at heart, Russell may have wanted to die with his boots on and Colt in hand.